So welcome to my vlog. I want to talk about the general election of the 8th of June 2017. The coalition of chaos is what particularly interests me because it is made up of 13.6 million votes that the Conservatives got and 292,000 that the DUP got. I'll come to the DUP a bit later. So that makes just under 14 million votes for the Tory coalition government, as they want to call it, the government of chaos, coalition of chaos. So if you add the SNP, Lib Dems, Plaid Cymru and the Greens and Labour predominantly, if you add all of them together you just get under 17 million. So that means that's 3 million votes more than the Conservative coalition of chaos would get. So you'd have a rainbow coalition of all those parties who are all more or less progressive parties. So I have no idea, but obviously the voting system in this country is completely flawed, and I'll come to this just in a moment. So if we had a proportional representation voting system, then what would happen is that every vote counts. So every vote, wherever it is, whichever constituency, will get into a central pool and then it will get distributed. So if we look at it, if we had proportional representation, then the Tories, including the coalition, would have got 284 seats. And the Rainbow Coalition with Labour and SNP, Lib Dems, Greens and Plaid Cymru would get 366 seats. These figures aren't entirely accurate because I sort of rounded up and down a little bit, but roughly 284 for the Tory coalition and 366 for the Progressive coalition, if you want to call it. So the Tories have established themselves as the party of U-turns. It's been across the press, I don't need to mention it, police officers with the Manchester incident, 20,000 less police officers. Now with the latest one in London, the fire brigade's been cut by thousands of firefighters. It's all cuts, it's all austerity, and it's putting people's lives at risk. And I have no idea how almost 13.5 million people cannot see that. It really makes me angry. I mean, in Switzerland this would not happen because we have proportional representation in Switzerland. So you don't get one party ruling over all the other parties on a minority, on maybe 27% of the total vote. You just wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it. And it is an absolute disaster. And I think England's reputation is suffering at the moment as it has never suffered before. Coming back to the coalition of chaos that the Conservatives are proposing, of course the DUP, going to bed with the DUP, will of course upset the fragile balance in Northern Ireland that predominantly the Labour Party has carefully, over years, over decades, built up and found a consensus that all the parties are more or less involved. So now the Tories are going to pull it to the right. And you can see Sinn Féin aren't happy about it. I wouldn't be happy about it. So again, they're putting people's lives at risk. They are putting people's lives at risk, and it's just not on. I'm sorry. I hope there will be a new general election within the next week, the next month, by the end of the year. I don't mind. But listen, you 13.6 million people who voted Tories. I'm just short of saying you're voting for murderers. Very, very short of saying you're voting for murderers. So let's look on the positive. Let's look at SNP, Lib Dems, Plaid Cymru, Greens, and mainly the Labour Party. Let's look at them as a positive alternative. They are a positive alternative. They're open-minded. They want to allow 16-year-olds to vote. And they're much more open to a fairer economic system, which this country desperately needs. I mean, Labour, in Europe, there would be, under Corbyn, there would be a social democratic party. at best, and not a radical social democratic party. But all his policies basically are implemented throughout Europe, so I have no idea what is going on in the press painting such a picture about him. Let's stay positive, let's fight, let's try and topple Theresa May and her coalition of chaos. Thanks for listening, goodbye.